The notion that science is satanic and deceiving faithful Christians is a perspective that has been debated by some religious groups. According to this viewpoint, science is seen as a force that seeks to undermine the authority of the Bible and the teachings of Christianity. Proponents of this idea argue that scientists are deliberately distorting the truth and promoting a godless worldview that contradicts the principles of faith. One of the primary concerns of those who believe that science is satanic is the theory of evolution. They argue that evolution is a concept that denies the existence of a creator and instead suggests that humans and other living organisms emerge through a process of random chance and natural selection. This, they claim, is a direct challenge to the biblical account of creation, which states that God created the world and all living things in 6 days. By promoting evolution as a scientific fact, scientists are seen as attempting to supplant the biblical narrative with a secular, humanistic explanation for the origin of life. Another area where science is seen as being at odds with Christianity is in the field of cosmology. The Big Bang Theory, which suggests that the universe began as a singularity and expanded rapidly around 13.8 billion years ago, is viewed by some as a threat to the biblical account of creation. The idea that the universe is billions of years old, rather than a few thousand years suggested by some interpretations of the Bible, is seen as an attempt to undermine the authority of Scripture. Furthermore, the notion that the universe is governed by natural laws and principles, rather than by the direct intervention of God, is seen as a form of deism that denies the active role of God in the world. Some critics of science also argue that the scientific method itself is inherently flawed and biased against Christianity. They claim that scientists are driven by a secular, materialistic worldview that excludes the possibility of supernatural or spiritual explanations for natural phenomena. By relying solely on empirical evidence and observation, scientists are seen as ignoring the spiritual dimension of reality and promoting a narrow, reductionist view of the world. This, they argue, is a form of intellectual arrogance that seeks to impose a godless worldview on society. In addition, some proponents of the idea that science is satanic point to the historical conflicts between science and the church. They argue that the persecution of scientists such as Galileo and Copernicus, who challenged the geocentric view of the universe, demonstrates the hostility of the scientific community towards Christianity. They also point to the role of science in promoting social and moral changes, such as the acceptance of abortion and homosexuality, which are seen as being in conflict with Christian teachings. However, it is essential to note that this perspective on science is not universally accepted among Christians. Many Christians see science and faith as complementary, rather than conflicting, worldviews. They argue that science can provide a deeper understanding of the natural world and the workings of God's creation, while faith provides a spiritual and moral framework for interpreting the findings of science. By recognizing the limitations and boundaries of both science and faith, Christians can engage in a fruitful dialogue between the two, rather than seeing them as mutually exclusive. In conclusion, the idea that science is satanic and deceiving faithful Christians is a complex and multifaceted issue. While some proponents of this viewpoint argue that science is inherently hostile to Christianity, others see science and faith as complementary perspectives that can enrich our understanding of the world. By acknowledging the concerns and criticisms of those who see science as a threat to their faith, Christians can engage in a more nuanced and informed discussion about the relationship between science and Christianity. Ultimately, this dialogue can help to promote a greater understanding and appreciation of the complexities and mysteries of the natural world, and the role that both science and faith play in our understanding of it.